The easiest way to get Endatix platform running is utilizing Docker. Here on our documentation website we have a step-by-step guide that can lead you through the whole process. Of course, you will need Docker and Docker Compose installed on your system, but this is easily achievable by installing Docker Desktop. After that, you will need a couple of files. One is a setup script and the other is a Docker Compose file. Both of these are provided when you follow the guide. If you have already downloaded the repository from GitHub, you will see them in the Docker folder. If not, you can check the links in the guide. There are links for both Windows and Linux depending on which system you're using. If you prefer to use a command line, then there are curl commands here, and this is what I will use in my PowerShell as I'm using Windows. I downloaded the Windows batch file and here is the Docker Compose YAML. They are here and now it's time to run the setup. It will ask me a few questions. They are needed in order to get all the necessary information for setting the environment variables needed for the containers. If I prefer to use the default settings, I can simply hit enter, and this is what I'm going to do. Development is used for ASP.NET environment. Now it asks me about the JWT signing key. It is needed for authentication, and I'll use the default. Of course, you can provide your own key if you prefer. There is a user that is hard-coded and used for testing purpose, and now I will set also the default values, the email and the password, and the SendGrid API key is necessary if you wish to send emails. If you simply click enter, you will not set any key and emails won't be sent. The SQL server that is run in the container needs password for its admin user, and this is set on the last configuration step, and now the images will be downloaded. They are downloaded from Docker Hub, and here we can see we have two images for Endatix Hub and Endatix API. These are the two containers, part of the platform that will get running. And while we wait for the images to be downloaded, I should mention that we need several ports available on our system. One of them is 1443, which is needed for SQL Server, and the others are 5001 and 3000 that are needed for Endatix API and Endatix Hub. We see the database is running. The other components are also set successfully, and now Docker PS, we can see the containers there. We can see them also in Docker Desktop, and let's try. The API, it has Swagger, and it has two groups of endpoints. One is for authentication here in the login endpoint. We can easily use Swagger to send requests. Okay, I had a mistake, so it seems to be working correctly. Wrong credentials don't work. Now when I put this here, it will be sent for all the further requests, so I can use all the endpoints. Let's see what are the forms in the system currently. By default there are 3 examples, and now it's time to create a new one with post API forms. I will use an example from SurveyJS, this form patient registration form. This is the JSON of the form, and because it has quote symbols and cannot be directly sent through a JSON request, I have here escaped all the quotes and it's ready. The name of the form, short description is enabled, and here I paste the escaped JSON, click execute, and here we have, this is the ID of the newly created form. And now if I go to get forms for ID definition using the ID of the created form, I get the JSON of the form which is stored in the database. So now when I want to render a form on my web page, I can use the SurveyJS library for rendering, and providing the JSON can be done through this endpoint of Endatix. Next steps: to store the submissions of the data in the platform, I can utilize the endpoints that are for the submissions, posting of submission, and after that getting the submissions and using the already stored data. This way, using Endatix API, we can on one side manage the forms and on the other side get submissions and explore the results. The other component that is run is Endatix Hub, which currently is work in progress and is actually a Next.js application where we will provide a nice user interface for everything you see in the Endatix API and much more. But as I mentioned, is being developed, so for now it's just part of the installation, but not providing much. What we can do further with the containers, in the guide we have a few more commands here, how to stop, how to start it again or delete the containers. Of course we can do this also through the user interface of the application Docker desktop. And of course, if you have any problems running Endatix, or if you wish to provide feedback, we will be happy to hear from you. You can go to the contact page on our website and submit, and also you can create a discussion on GitHub in our discussions panel. So that's it for now. Enjoy exploring Endatix.